Hello, welcome again. Today is Thursday, the 6th of November, 2025. And once again, I see news and the internet going off on the latest weird goings ons with 3i Atlas. Granted, a lot of people are overemphasizing and making big hoo ha about it in order to get internet clicks on their websites and whatnot. Hey, more power to them. They're entitled to do so. Plus, it gives me something to respond to. Um, so I guess more power to them. Because the more they do it, then that means the more of these I'm going to have to make. But anyhow, let me give you some more factual updates on 3i Atlas, which is. Oh, hang on, I got to go get my 3i Atlas. I left it where it belongs. My 3i Atlas. Um, let's start off with essentially what was 1i Atlas. That was Borisov. Um, Borisov. Borisov. Bueller. Bueller. Yeah, me neither. Didn't hear a lot about Borisov, did we? Amuamua? Yes, we did, because it has a really cool name. Again, love saying Amuamua. That, kind of, anyhow. Amuamua. Yeah, we heard all kinds of things about that. It was much larger than Borisov. Uh, it was a big rock. It was tumbling. Funny. Granted, when we first kind of saw it, it was coming, at us this way, so it looked like a Baby Ruth candy bar, which wasn't exactly the prettiest thing. But as it turned, we saw it was more like a chunky cookie. So on one side, it's thick and peanuts and whatnot sticking out of it, and then when it flipped sideways, there it was, mushrooms, marshmallows, mushrooms, um, space mushrooms, uh, brain. Anyhow, um, Oumuamua did strange things as well. It was an interstellar object, the second one we had seen, and it was doing some weird things. It did some strange accelerations. It did tumbling. It didn't have a tail, and then we saw it did, and I'll get to that in a minute. 3i Atlas is coming in. It is so much bigger and doing so much of a bigger show than the two of them combined by far. And we've all heard about 3i Atlas now. Probably sick of it. Anyhow, um, one of the things that they're not talking about in a lot of these news articles and web stuff is the fact that they've recorrected. Oh, okay, recorrected its course, the change in arc from coming off of perihelion, and they changed the speed, both bringing the speed down and the degree of turn down. They've corrected it. And they've also discovered in correcting it, because what did I say before? When you're doing uh, these calculations, you need to know the speed, the velocity, the angle, the degree, and the mass. And we're guessing at the mass. And with these course corrections, they were able to do a little more speculation, smart speculation, but still, we can't measure it. We can't go out there on a scale and go, oh, that this thing is a lot, this 3i Atlas is a lot bigger than we thought. It is also far more massive than we thought, in that there's more rock in this ball of ice than there is ice. Often when you see these things, there's like a rock core, metal core in it, and a lot of ice. It is of different chemicals all around it. This still has that, but it also has a lot more of a bigger rock inside the snowball. And we are seeing coming off of this bigger rock metals, nickel, copper, which is also adding to the glow and adding to the strange colors. We are picking up water, which is like really cool, or at least water evaporations, because what it does. Nitrogen, helium. Yeah, I had to list a couple other ones that we have, which give us a blue and green spectrum colors. Um, We did get updated images from a Chinese satellite telescope that has picked up 3i Atlas really tumbling. Like I said, it was a tumbling object, and now we have imagery. Again, it's, what we see on a telescope is this, not the wonderful, great pictures you get to see on the web. We don't have cameras that good, but it is now really tumbling. So, maybe it had a pocket of something burst, it sublimates. That means a solid going straight to a gas. Remember your triple point chemistry when you had a solid, gas, and liquid, and pressures and temperatures, and how a solid can go straight through a gas given certain this that, and some gas can go straight to a solid. Solids don't always have to go solid, liquid, and then gas. Okay, chemistry. Remember that. Sublimation. Whoop, going. Anyhow, uh, that kicks into it. Again, we have the sun either being very upset with us and angry and putting off its solar storms, or it's very happy and ejaculating. Ejaculating. Well, that would make it very happy. Uh, ejecting. It is very happy and injecting a lot of. Sorry. The solar sun. Sun coronal masses. Big energy coming off of it across the spectrum. Also hitting 3i Atlas, which helped change its path, move it around, cook it. Solar activity is very high right now, and it did not. The solar excitement, the solar activity did not come from 3i Atlas being there. And 3i Atlas didn't go behind the sun and then zap it with some space weapons or space technology to heat up the sun to get it to then eject solar matter. It was cooking before it got here. It just happened to have a great coincidence of coming by when you're getting some pretty damn good bursts all the way across the spectrum of energy coming off of it. Coincidence? Sure. Granted, when dealing with people, coincidences, not so much that happen. Interstellar objects coming in to visit us, coincidences, sun fires up. Could have been some gravitational from it. Yeah, but, that's, the sun's going to have more influence on this than it will on the sun, but, things equal and opposite. Again, we have metals coming off of this. Metals heating up makes it far more interesting, far much larger, hence the change in some of the actual real data. NASA hiding things from us. Most of you know, our government is on a strike right now, which means NASA is essentially shut down. I mean, there's still people there working, but we're not getting information from NASA because NASA is shut down because of the government. It is not a big NASA conspiracy to hide what's going on with 3i Atlas from us. No, it's the government is shut down. NASA's pretty much running on a skeleton crew. We're not getting data out. We're not getting images out as like we like to because there's not guys there able to do it. It's, about that, that's, I think, the big secret there. Sorry. No conspiracy there. Plus, the Chinese blew it. They're putting out images, so mass secret, the Chinese just gave it away. Also, they were saying 3i Atlas must have lost 30% of its mass in order to make the accelerations and degree of turn required to do what it has done. Well, they also say it's been a 20% loss of mass. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but where did they get those numbers from? Well, one, we found out it's a hell of a lot more massive than it really is. Number two, if you actually look into the data, actually go and pull up, JPL, actual real NASA information, real astronomers, real astrophysicists, data from, real sources, not the guy on the internet, not guys like me. Check anything and everything I'm saying. I'll make mistakes. Sure. I'll stand by my mistakes. I stand by what I get right. Anyhow, they came up with a mass loss of about 10 to 12%. So why 20? Why 30? Well, sexy. Bigger numbers, round up a bit more and say, wow, this is really spectacular. I've been going, and lost 10 to 12% of its mass going around. Snow, ice melting off of it, sublimating, cooking, making jets. Um, you know, Excitement. I can say, hey, it lost 40% of its mass and it's still huge, or it grew. No, it didn't. No, I don't do that. I'm giving you, I spend my time, I look it up, I double check. I'm interested in the anyhow, so I have, I'm paying attention. So we've got that. Water. Water has been detected, which is cool because we're getting nickel. Like I said, we're getting nickel, we're getting copper, nitrogen, oxygen, all kinds of stuff are cooking off of this. So we're getting all kinds of colors from it. Oh, tail. Getting back to the tail. Tails are interesting. Don't go there. Again, we're always going to have a tail behind it as it zips on by. There's always going to be a little tail of disruption because it is passing through space stuff. Again, Carl Sagan, thank you. Space stuff. Um, Space is not empty. It's a vacuum, but it doesn't mean it's empty. A lot of dust, a lot of dirt, big object going through. Going to have a disruption pattern behind it. The usually the popular tail, the visible tail, one we're always talking about generally, is the one that comes off of it. Sun's over here. It's going this way. The tail goes that way. So sun energy this way, tail that way. As it moves around, it may be going that way, and it has a tail going that way. Looks silly, but that's the way it works. Now, if the sun was over here, and you are the Earth looking this way, okay, or let's just if it's moving this way, the tail from the sun is going to be back this way. So we may not be able to see the big tail that we like to see coming off of it. We have the tail of motion, but if the sun's over there and you're here and it's here, energy's coming this way, the tail's going this way behind it, which can hide some of it. So there's that. But two, the biggest thing they're saying is it has no tail visibly, meaning they're not seeing one in the visible spectrum. And again, the spectrum we're talking about from, one end to the other is huge, and our visible range is small. We've got all the rest of the stuff, X-rays, gamma rays, infraviolet, all the way down to sound, radio. Full spectrum. That much, nothing showing up there, no biggie. Oumuamua. Also, was saying the head did not have a tail, but when he, flipped it over and kind of looked at different frequencies, we did see it was emitting. It had its tail from energy because of checking the different spectra and seeing where it's at. So it's not the big glowing snowball giving off stuff we could see. So a lot of people are saying no tail. What they're saying is no visible tail, nothing in the visible spectrum. So keep that in mind. I said, okay, we covered that. Yeah, I have some quick little notes. Yeah, okay. Well, like I said, double check anything I say. Please do. I make mistakes. Double check everything you hear. By all means, again, go to real places, go to real astronomers, go to real astrophysicists. JPL, maybe I'll come up with a list of places to check for actual real data rather than, some random person like myself showing up on the internet, like myself, telling you all about it and just doing stuff for internet hype. Well, and I'm here trying to correct it for internet hype. So, like, subscribe, donate, helpful. Gotta sneak that in, don't I? Anyhow, that's about it. My 3i Atlas and I are going to check out, so be nice to other people. Treat people like the way you want to be treated. May your God go with you, and Savos.